Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. For some reason, my screen has gone all blue. I don't know why. Hopefully, you can see and hear me. I've shut the back light because otherwise you'd have too much backlight, but I don't know whether to go and open it again because it's getting darker because of where I am. Just to make sure, give me a 5x5 if you can all see and hear me, because that is exceptionally important. Give me a 5x5 if you can all see and hear me. I've got to be honest with you, I still haven't got my actual residential, so just let me make sure you see this. Right. The actual residential is this, right? And this goes up on a pole, either outside, it's motorised, or it goes up on the chimney to get a good. It basically tracks the satellites, right? And what you're currently seeing, and I don't think I can show you, but I'll see if I can show you and see if you can see it. My current setup is that. Makes me laugh every time I see it, right? Is that sitting on next door's roof, which is right by my window, right? And then it comes through this windowsill and sits in here. So if you're not getting a good signal, Starlink have already sent me an automated message saying that your mini is obstructed, and that means it can't see the satellites. And where it is at the moment, it's not getting a good response from the satellites. What I was impressed about, if I'm honest, is the fact that it automatically looks at it and says you're obstructed, you're going to get a bad service. So just to let you know. But if you can see some of what I'm saying, it might go pixelated because all of a sudden the satellites will move and this thing can't pick it up, and then the satellites will come back. I don't know what's going on with the planet and how the satellites move, but that's what it, right? So this is literally a lash up, right? So I'm sitting in the bedroom of my new abode. I am now out of London, right? Sitting in Devon, and I haven't totally. We got rid of London. If I told you the whole story about it, I mean, 3 people come up and helped me, which was fantastic. And I did tell you, but so at the moment I'm still getting this gaff organised. Don't forget, I'm on my own and I'm trying to work things out. I've got to be honest with you. This is where women are highly skilled at organising a house, right? So I've moved into this place. But I do want to tell you about this: the sovereignty of Parliament, history and philosophy, Geoffrey Goldsworthy, right? Again, this is Oxford University Press. I've had this book for some time, but one of the things that I intend to do when I'm here, now I'm here, I should say, is to sit down and write a proper book from the perspective of the people of these institutions and what they should be doing and under English law and the common law of England, the people have always had the right to stop it and stand up against it, which is what we're going to be doing. Brackets and screw them into the wall so the bookshelves don't go over. Which is obviously going to cause me a bit of problems if it goes over because the whole lot will get smashed up. To use, you won't see major when I'm back downstairs. Once that transmission's on, the real one, the residential one that I showed you, you won't see a lot of well, you will see a bit of a difference because there's going to be a slight change of camera angle. You will see the bookshelves behind me. You'll probably see a laptop because you can't get a full studio in there like I had in the other place. But let me tell you something. If you ask anyone who'd come up to my old place, my front room was a studio, a full Comanche, lights, everything, right? A full bit of kit for changing different things for volumes, and I'm gonna be trying to recreate it, but in a slightly different way. Although the books will be behind me, and I've also got my green screen that I've brought. So if I ever need to, if we can get the pub up and going again, I'll do it in a slightly different way. Pull the green screen up, and I'll be sitting in the boozer. I might even sit around that pub for a laugh and do it. Not that they would probably agree to do that, but just to make sure. Just so again, there's going to be a lot of reading, a lot of me trying to sit out of the aggravation. Do I like it here? What I've got to say. I walk out of my front door, and it takes me less than 2 minutes to get in the pub, right? And I've never had that, right? And I do like pubs and different characters coming in and talking and all that, right? Touch wood, they've been very welcoming. In fact, there was a discussion last night. One of them said to me, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I run a political party and blah, blah, blah." And he said, "About what? What are you into?" I said, "England and the English." And he was like, "Oh, that's good." Right? So it's certainly more positive here. And what you Tommy Robinson, Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, right? It ain't happening. They have all got their own interests at heart, right? And their own egos, and they have egos. Right? We're not into that. What we're into is the people. And from this book, and from my understanding, is even the people haven't got complete sovereignty, right? But there should be a separation of powers, and your representatives should be representing you and acting in your best interests, which quite clearly they're not, right? So it's for me to empower you to understand the English Constitution, to understand what's going on, right? So again, this is an ideal location because what I want to do is just sit down, type out and write out the book, get everything done. Now, just to make sure you understand this, and I do need to probably mute that site, mute tab. Right, mute tab. Let me just make sure that we're all seeing things. Okay, at least it's quite clear. I've just been sent a picture of myself, which I'm not quite used to. And I did send our friend. Oh, let me have a look at that. So don't forget, I've still got to sort out the rest of my stuff on there. Kew Gardens, John, how you doing, son? I spoke to you the other day, John Godley Harding. I love that middle name. That's just typically English, that is. I'm English, not British. If you did not receive an election ECP leaflet yet, and we don't know what's going on, and I was getting a bit, I'm still a bit panicky, to be honest with you, about not having everything set up here, and then getting something back from the courts, because obviously we've got to get involved with that. Now, before I go on to the main subject matter of tonight, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, right? This book has got a number of different references in it, right? Lots of different references, takes you all through the history. The guy who wrote it is a lawyer. And what he says is that each chapter could easily be its own book, right? And he's trying to compact it as much as possible. The amount of information in this is superb. But I want to read one part out to you. And this part is where it says this. Laws and others are all saying the same thing, right? For some reason that went blank on me, but I don't know why. So I just want you to all understand it is these that give us the title of freeborn Englishmen. For my notion of freedom is this: they are properly so called who are bound by the this seems to have clicked off again for some reason. I don't know why it keeps clicking off. Hi everyone, good to see you back, DD. Hopefully you're back. Listen, the satellites move, and that on there is not getting satellites. That's why this will possibly go in and out like a yo-yo. I can't do anything until one, I get some different bits of kit to be able to install it, and I think I've got a couple of frames turning up hopefully tomorrow. Then I need to get a ladder, and then I need to work out. I mean, I ain't even got a drill, an outside drill to drill in and put bolts in. Right, it's a bit more awkward. And then I've lost people. Like there's one satellite company. He said he's going to send me over quote, do all this. It was 48-hour one. Yeah, we'll be there and all that. It comes from Cornwall, which is just down the road. Right, not heard back from them. It's worse. It's worse than being in Portugal. Right. And they have a saying in Portugal, tomorrow, right? And then when it gets tomorrow, it's tomorrow, right? So no one really gives a flying fuck because it don't affect them, right? And that's the way society works at the moment, right? Everyone's I'm all right, Jack, right? And then what I'm trying to do is just get this up there and working. And unfortunately, it's not working properly yet, right? So I did show at the very beginning why, because it's literally perched on that roof outside, and it's not in a good position, and it can't track. Keeps dropping out. YouTube seems to be fine. It might be. It might be. I don't know what the clue is, but it's not. It's not getting what it should be, and it's getting darker anyway. So. But getting back to what this really, by the way, if anyone wants to understand this book, right, The Sovereignty of Parliament, it really, you really do have to. This is a big read, right? There's so much information in it, but it helps to proportion what I'm going to be doing with my book, which and is geared to the people, right? So everyone should understand this. As an Englishman, I'm not talking about the British. Remember, I'm not British, I'm English. As an Englishman, you have the right to create militias, and you have a right to police your own communities. You have a right to do all of those things. You have a duty as an Englishman or Englishwoman to uphold the law of the land, and that's the common law and statutes. But statutes and charters must come within the common law of the land, right? Um, and again, the common law was created by custom. Who created the custom? The people did. Who judged it? The judges. You've got to be very careful with common law because it is judged by judges, and judges belong to the king, not to you, right? So there are things that you need to be very careful in which way that you say things and operate. Let's get back to a number of main points, right? First of all, the difference between you and a police constable is they swear an oath to the sovereign, right? And currently, everyone's saying Parliament is sovereign, so their oath is to Parliament, not to the monarch, right? That's the way they're operating. And anything that Parliament makes into law, criminal law or otherwise, that is what they will enforce, right? Even though it is outside of their authority if they are not enacting laws within the Constitution. Within the Constitution means your liberties and freedoms are being infringed by Parliament, right? Which they clearly are at the moment. So again, the main difference between a police constable and you is they get a warrant card. They used to have to do 2 years on probation with a fully fledged constable and do a 2-year exam on the Constitution. If they passed it and they were suitable, so the constables they went out with said, yeah, he or she is fine, then you took the oath, and then that is what gives you your authority, not the uniform, not a badge on your helmet, not a badge on your crown, not a number, right? What gives you your authority is that it's called a general warrant. Right? And a general warrant means that a member of the public can report a crime to them. They can walk up and arrest a person on what's known as an information or a statement of fact from a witness, and they can do that. The only difference between you and them is you technically under English law you can't do that, right? Unless we can create that, by the way, we can recreate that ourselves. But you can't do that. But what you can do is if you see a crime being committed or an offence being committed, you can citizens arrest. You've got the exact same power as a police constable, right? What does that mean? Well, when you're at one of these events and the police are inciting, or you see someone inciting, so not just the police, but it can be someone else, right? And that you have the power to arrest them, right? You can arrest them for a number of different things, including assault, battery, and infringing and stopping you from using your rights, your normal everyday rights as an Englishman. The problem you're going to get is British people, that is the ones with the legal fiction attached to their foreheads, who believe they're British and not English. They have got no rights. In fact, if they have any rights at all, it's from the European Convention of Human Rights, which are qualifiable. The English rights are not qualifiable. They are absolute rights. They are undoubted rights, and the Glorious Revolution gave us those rights in a codified manner, and the codified manner was the Declaration of Rights, the original contract. But a 6-year-old was arrested at a protest in Manchester, in Wigan, and has died in police custody, right? There's all various stories coming out about the 26-year-old, right? I'm not interested in what all of these other people are saying. What I'm saying to you is yet another person has died in police custody. Do you understand that? He died in police custody, all right? That must take us now well over 2,000 that English men or women have died in police custody. Even if you're committing a crime, that should go before the courts, and there is no death penalty, right? But what happens is these police officers are getting away with murder, right? Or manslaughter, or torture, right? Which is what it is. Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture. And all is what that case is about, right? The fact that he has died in custody. Now, it's been handed over to the IOPC. I'm seeing all this bullshit on Twitter saying they're independent. Over 200 of the people that work for IOPC are ex-police officers or police constables who are receive their pension as police constables from the state. So I'm asking you how independent they are. And the answer is not very independent at all. In fact, that's why they nearly always fine for the police, right? I've never seen a case yet where they've actually referred it for torture, right? When they should be, and they haven't done that. So I'm just making sure everyone's aware. So whoever that kid was, 26 years old, say kid is obviously a man. Whatever reasons he's been arrested, I don't know. I've got no information on that at all. All I know is he has died in police custody, and we're the only group of people that are highlighting this and saying that you should be using the Criminal Justice Act 1988, Section 134, torture, because obviously someone has done something to him. They'll make up any story they want, but someone's done something. And whatever happens, the definition of death is you stop breathing, right? And he's obviously stopped breathing. And he's in police custody. A rough estimate for the UK since 1980 accounting to unreporting and less oversight in the 1980s might range from 2,200 to 2,500 deaths. Right. In police custody. And we are an unarmed nation. That's direct police custody. That doesn't mean, that's not including chases. That's not including what they describe as police contact. Could be they come around and knock on your door and you hang yourself. That's what's called police contact. There's even more of them, right? Where people have just had enough for various reasons, probably because of police harassment. And you're seeing more and more of it. So again, what I'm saying, this is crucially important to people, right? I'm not one of these people that believe that you can do as you like. I believe in the rule of law, and the rule of law states there is a way that police should behave and a way that we should behave. You have the absolute right to freedom of assembly. The book currently is still in my car, otherwise I'll read them out to you. But when I do the book, I'm going to show all of these and show you why you have that right and why you should be standing up for it. We are losing all of the rights, and it isn't just Keir Starmer. And if anyone says to me again how incompetent they are, this is not incompetence. This is all by design. And all that happens in this situation is one uni party has passed the ball to the next uni party, and the next uni party passes it to the next, right? So the Labour Party, which is controlled by Fabians, which is Marxist, the Conservative and Union Party. So again, they need to go. The Union Party needs to go. It's gone, right? You need to avoid the acts of union for being in bad faith, right? It's the acts of union that is currently giving this Parliament its authority to create the draconian laws that it's creating, right? Now, no one expected in the past for Parliament ever Yet they just passed a law to kill all babies, right? Um, and people need to understand that this parliament is complete and utter corrupt to the core, right? Every part of it, and so is the judiciary, and so is the monarchy. What are the people to do when this happens, right? So this is the bit that some people won't like. You're not going to get anywhere by is empowering yourself to understand your rights, to understand that you are the only source of hero in England. The white, the knight in shining armour is not going to come over that hill and save you, and it's certainly not going to be Farage or Tommy Robinson or any of them people, right? Everyone needs to understand that, right? So if this keeps freezing, depending on how bad it is, I will try and keep it uploading as long as possible. But again, don't forget this is a lash up, right? I am going to be writing this book. I am going to be doing quite a bit where I am in Devon, right? And livening the people up to understand what is actually going on. From the conversations I'm having, they sort of get it. They can't stand their MP. And if they don't bankrupt me over this case that we've just put in, I'll very likely be standing in this particular area as a member of parliament. There's a lot of farmers here, and I intend to explain to them what we should be doing to protect them and their inheritance going forward. They've arrested Tommy at the airport. Well, that's fair. That was fairly obvious that was going to happen. If indeed it has happened. So again, getting back to there's some elements of what Tommy Robinson says I agree with, right? So I am not an nationalist. Do you all understand what I mean by that, right? So black people that are English and they can be, they're not indigenous, right? But there's a big difference between someone who believes they're English are terrible things. My screen's gone off again for some reason. So again, don't forget this don't like what we're doing. That's a good idea, Deli. You should do well. Right. So on the other side of this situation, let's just make sure we're clear on this, right? If you are culturally English, right? So I try and throw me out the name of someone that's black that you want me to make a reference to, and then I'll make that reference. But there's also this goes back in our history. We had this problem before in 1708, and Queen Anne stepped in and abolished the law that allowed people in, and it was nothing to do with the colour of your skin, right? And again, most of the Acts of Settlement was actually brought in because of them same reasons, and it was because they was Dutch taking the piss out of us. So they was our race, right? But it was a different culture and a different group of people. Let me have a look. Someone out the car, don't, right? Because I actually think he's a decent, nice fella, right? And he is culturally English, right? And therefore there is not an issue with that, right? The original Union of England of 1603. If his parents was born outside of them, he cannot be in any position of authority. He cannot be a police constable. He cannot be a judge. He cannot be a member of parliament. Right? It's as simple as that. And if either one of them parents are their children should be culturally English, right? And therefore, they can be police constables, they can be judges, they can be. Screen's gone off. British Nationality Act, right? So again, remember the legal fiction, right? English was created by the common law. The original common law union, which was a union of the crowns, was created by the common law. And it was governed on by the common law, which was a judge, Sir Edward Coke, right? In a very famous case, and I think it was 1608. I keep saying it's 1612. It was a Calvin case of 1608. People need to understand, right, that this type of discussion has gone on for centuries, and the English have always reined back and said, no, we are an island. We are a people on that island, and we are called English, right? That's what people have to really remember, right? So in a lot of ways, people are misunderstanding what it means. there's certain people out there, they're called ethno-nationalists, right? Uh, Ian Wright, he's been a subject of Is He English? I don't even know what that is. He's been a subject of Is He English? Well, so he is not indigenous English, but he is regarded as English if he's born here, one, and but there is a proviso if his parents were aliens, not born of English parents, then he could not be an MP. He could not be, because that's our constitutional provision, right? That's how we stop the country turning to shit, right? And I imagine everyone out there understands the country's turned to shit, right? And as long as you understand that, that's not, and by the way, these laws were not brought in on racial grounds. That there's nothing in our constitution that mentions race, right? The only people who brought in race, I want you to understand this. The only people who brought in race were the British with the Race Relations Act. They're the shit stirrers in the background. They're the ones who have caused all these problems, and Tommy Robinson supports that, right? He and Rupert Lowe supports that. Nigel Farage supports that. Who's the other one? Ben Habib supports that. So my position on Ben Habib is because one of his parents was not English, right? He cannot be a member of parliament, right? It's not racial. It's to protect the cultural identity of England as a nation, right? So as them future generations stay, and by the way, not many of them would, because you would turn, and again, we're not tolerating anything to do with Islam. Sharia is banned. The Jewish Habib or whatever it's called, that's not lawful in this country. And it doesn't matter what Tommy Robinson says, oh, the Jews. He's a Zionist. He's an out-and-out Zionist. Listen, I'm not a Zionist, right? That doesn't mean I hate Jews. But what I do is declare what the Jews have done in the past in England, right? I don't like the Jewish mafia. I have never liked Jewish organised crime. Fuck off, right? And people like Tommy Robinson won't listen to that, right? Because they've either been indoctrinated, right, to not tolerate anything to do with it, right? So there's the major thing. But let me just make sure that I am perfectly clear on this, right? Black people can be English, but they are not indigenous English. In the same way, if I went to Liberia tomorrow and said, I want to be a citizen of Liberia, which is in Africa, their constitution says, unlike ours, their constitution says you cannot be a citizen. You cannot have any position of power or authority in this country. You cannot be in the parliament. You cannot be in our Senate. You cannot be a judge unless you are a Negro, right? Understand that. Understand that Liberia's constitution forbids you being a citizen in that country unless you are a Negro, right? Do you understand that? If you all understand that, we're going to get on well, right? Because I am not getting involved and do not get involved with any form of racism. I do not like Sharia. Sharia is part of Islam. That has got nothing to do with the colour of your skin. There are white people that are Islamic. There are brown people that are Islamic. There are black people that are Islamic. It is culturally alien to England. Full stop, right? And there's lots of elements of the Jewish laws that should not exist in England because it is also forbidden by the English Bill of Rights, which is our codified, part of our codified constitution. And in this, it talks about the common law constitution, which is what the English have, a common law constitution, right? So we will be going into further details, and I am going to write up a book hopefully I'll be sitting here doing little videos and a stage part of each one, and then it has a book that accompanies it, and people can just read it and understand it. It is not, right, for legal professionals. It is not for members of parliament. It is not for the fucking monarchy. It is not for the judiciary. It is for you to understand what it means to be English. It's as simple as that. And I need someone to create a cover page that would just attract people straight to it, right? And then we'll get that, and I'll do a prologue and an epilogue to it as well, explaining to people what it's about, and then just showing you the difference. And then I'll no doubt you'll have all the Brits out there saying that's a load of bollocks. This is a load, oh, I've done a degree. I couldn't give a fuck what degree you've done, right? Read the fucking law books. And most of them haven't, right? They do a 1 year masters in law, right? And then think they're fucking barristers at law, right? Most of them have never read the amount of law that I've read. Trust me. No hatred for others, just love for my own. Exactly. Who is the other geezer who said it? Muhammad Ali. Cassius Clay, as I call him. Right? Listen, I'm too old, I know, right? I remember when he was Cassius Clay. Right? Let me tell you something. He actually said it, right? Birds of a feather flock together. And he wants his kids to look like him. What's wrong with that? Nothing, right? What's wrong with you having what you believe to be the greatest culture in the world? Nothing, right? And it's only the communists. And I want everyone to remember this, right? Because it's important. The communists murdered 70 million Christians, Orthodox Christians. What does that mean? Not associated with the Roman Church or the or the Pope, right? And if you really want to know the truth, and this is the truth, right? The Jesuits are far more dangerous, or just as dangerous, as Mossad, right? Trust me. They used to call the CIA Catholics in Action, and they did it for a reason, because it was infiltrated by them people. And by the way, some of that is in here, right? Not in them words, but it basically tells you the difference, because the Presbyterian Party originally were a Protestant party and Whigs, and basically they disassociated from the Roman Catholic Church and from the power that they was using in England, and said, that's it, we've had enough, right? And then people went over there and then created the United States of America as independent dominions. And again, all of that's in there. There's some great work in there. So are we all agreed as this fantastic audience, right? Because you are a fantastic audience. Right? Get this right. This is really important that you all understand this. Yeah. Personal donations much worth me fortune. Fuck this move. Right? And it still costing me money. Just to make sure everyone, and I had to get out of London. London's dead, right? And I just want to make sure everyone understands this before I do anything else, right? London is dead. London is now completely fucked, right? And the people who have fucked it up are the British, right? People in the Shires need to understand, unless you start standing up and doing what I'm going to be teaching people, the whole of the country is going to be fucked, and it will be gone forever. It will never be coming back. England will be something someone somewhere in the future will talk about as a nation that once existed, right? Unless you start acting yourselves and find the hero in yourselves to stand up, right? Organise your groups, right? That's what you got to do. Yorkshire is fucked. It's dead, right? Yorkshire is dead. And the reason it's dead is because they got people like Godders, who are the people talking about the British and the British and the British. No more Yorkshire. It's gone. Bye-bye Yorkshire, right? That's it. It's over for there. You still got some parts of England, Norfolk Shire, right? Devonshire, Lancashire, right? You need to start to rise to take it back, and you can take it back, right? That's all that we're talking about. It's not as if you're running out of time. I want to say this once and only, right? You've run out of time. The time is now. Get your fucking asses into gear and start mobilising, and you need to understand what your rights are to make your own citizens arrested, patrol the streets and do what you need to do, right? It's as simple as that. What was I going to say, Chuck? We need to make sure this is put out there, right? I and you, the audience, are not EFO nationalists, right? We don't, it's a nonsense, right? That's why when we do our events, black people turn up, brown people turn up, right? Because they love England, right? And I've had them conversations with people there, right? They know what we stand for, and it is nothing to do